Welcome back to the Opportunity Room, the show where we sit down with true leaders, change makers, brilliant minds, people who are turning ambition into action. Today, on the Opportunity Room, I'm honored to sit down with someone whose story is a true testament to resilience, vision, and impact. Papa Dia is the founder and executive director of the African Leadership Group, a Colorado-based nonprofit he founded in 2006 to improve the quality of life of African immigrants and members of the diaspora. A native of Senegal, Papa immigrated to the US in 1998. He taught himself English while stocking books at his first job, worked his way up through the banking world to become a regional vice president. And in 2017, made the bold decision to leave that career to dedicate himself full-time to building the African Leadership Group. Today, Papa not only runs the African Leadership Group, but also leads several businesses and nonprofits in Senegal. He serves on prestigious boards like Denver Botanic Gardens and Energize Colorado, and is a proud Livingston Fellow. In this conversation, we explore what it means to lead with purpose, serve with passion, and create opportunity for others, even when the odds are against you. Let's welcome to the Opportunity Room, Mr. Papa Dia. So without further ado, Papa, can you tell us in your own words, who is Papa Dia?
Thank you so much, Amadou, for having me. It's truly an honor and a pleasure to be in this space. As you can tell, it's always challenging to talk about yourself, but I'll give you a brief summary of, in my own word and belief, who I am. As you know, I am a proud son of Senegal, grew up in a large family. My mom has 13 kids, my dad has 25. As you can relate, polygamy it's something that's very common in Senegal. I grew up in a family where we did not have much. I remember every day I grew up chasing my next meals, right? But I grew up with brothers and sisters that all we had is love and care for each other. So in my own word, Papa is a proud father of 3 beautiful daughters. I am a proud son of Senegal. I am a Pan-Africanist, people that believe in the cause of Black people. I am a dreamer. I somebody that live by vision and by dream. And today I'm very proud to represent not only Senegal, not only African, but people from the Black diaspora.
That's very impressive. I think that's what we call a good heritage, and I love how you framed that story. Can you take us back? I know if I'm, correct me if I'm wrong. You arrived in Denver back in 1998, right? So
That's correct.
You taught yourself how to speak and read English by working at a bookstore / library. Can you take us back in those early days, and just what was your mindset like, back in the day?
Yeah, and you know, as most African immigrant can relate, when we are in Africa as young, we see the United States as the land of opportunity. You come here, you achieve things overnight. I was no different. While I was in Senegal growing up in poverty, facing those challenges, I was always thinking about how do I better my life, not just for myself and to support my family. So I have this perception of the United States that, all I needed was to get here. And once I get here, everything was taken care of. I studied law in Senegal. I had education and went to university. But as you know, in Senegal, it's a French system. So when I came here, all that dream, all that excitement, Amadou, became a nightmare. Because the day you land at JFK,
Right.
and you realize that you are in a different world. So I came here alone, and arriving at JFK on July 28, 1998, that's really when those dreams will start fading away. All of a sudden,
Right.
I found myself in an environment where I could not speak. And in New York, people have no time for you. And made it my way to Denver, Colorado, because I had some friend that was going to school here. And it was just difficult, challenging. Couldn't take myself to places, couldn't speak, did not have a job. So those early days was extremely challenging. But something about us immigrants, something about us Senegalese, growing up in those environments, all you always ask and look for is one opportunity, somebody just to open the door for you so you can walk in.
That's right.
Now, one thing that my dad, as poor we were, but he installed in us at early age, poverty is not something that defines who you are. Poverty might be your present, but it cannot be your future. So my dad always installed in us to always work with pride and be proud and always present ourselves with dignity and being proud. So that's something that I always had in me. So wherever I go, I can be poor, but you will never see it, because I will go to Goodwill, I will buy a nice suit for $10, put it on, and go to places. So for me, as poor we were, I managed to really land a job at a bookstore. Now, this is very important, because while I was looking to work at the bookstore, most of my fellow Senegalese, they were working at the airport, making $15 an hour, and at the bookstore they were offering me $5.25.
Right.
So you would think that I'm crazy to leave a $15 job
Right.
and embark on a $5.25. But for me, it was very important to be in a professional environment where I get a chance to network and connect with people that speak English professionally, that really will help me facilitate my professional integration. So I walk into that space carrying that vision and that dream of just speaking English and learning how to do that properly. And next thing you know, I spent 2 years in that environment where I was surrounded by books, I was surrounded by students, I was surrounded by professionals that really helped me to elevate my level of English. So I started my journey of my American dream in that space.
Beautifully said. So that very first interview, and I know that people actually that are listening to this interview will actually learn a lot from that particular decision you made, because you did not worry about getting $15 an hour. You went for $5 because you're a visionary. You have a long-term vision of what that $5 opportunity can turn into later on. So what values or lesson from your upbringing in Senegal shaped the person you are, and the person that you were engaging in taking those jobs?
Yeah, so it was just those value of dreaming, because as you know, in Senegal, it's more like a survival, right? Nobody install. We don't even know what the notion of dream is, right? For us, the connection we had with dream is more like you have a heavy meal at night, you go to bed, you lay down, and you dream about your girlfriend, and you dream. We don't have the value of dream in the sense of aspiration, in the sense of achieving things. But for me, seeing my mom suffer every day to put meal on the table, seeing just the condition that we were in, I came here with those value of doing something just not for me, but for the entire family that I left behind. Now, I'm not going to sit here to pretend that I know it all. I figured it out all. I know exactly what's going to happen. But what I could tell you that I just wanted something better for me. And something better for me was not just to settle for less, but to pursue for what I could achieve. Now, and one thing also that was important to me, and this came from my father, being in an environment where I show up professionally, right? So for me at the bookstore, I got a chance to wear a shirt and a tie, to be in that space, compared to in other places where you're going to be at the airport, where you're going to be carrying luggages. So those things now I can sit here and tell you and tell the listeners, one thing I know about this great nation, there's no shortcut. There's no shortcut. Either you pay the price now or you're going to pay it later. What I mean by that is either you go through the due process of success now, which is not chasing the money, but chasing the education, chasing the connection, chasing the integration, and the money will fall into place. right? So in our community, sometimes people will bounce from one job to another because this job will pay 50 cents more than the other job. That's not how you build experience. That's not how you build connection. Being in a place where you can build, having a profession, but really learning how to professionally integrate will really set you for a great success in this country.
Absolutely. Now, let me ask you, when you started working at the bookstore, obviously, then from the bookstore, I don't know what job did you get after that. Did that allow you to pay your way through college? Or how did that work out after the bookstore? What was the next step after the
Yeah.
bookstore?
You know, obviously, when I came to America as somebody that studied law back home and did 3 years in college, and my vision and ambition was to go and pursue my law degree in the United States.
Right.
When I arrived, reality kicked in. First of all, I couldn't transfer all the credit because they were French credit.
Right.
And again, I had to start all over. And as an international student, that was extremely expensive.
Right.
So I had to sit down and figure out a way that, okay, how do I achieve this dream? So
Right.
Amadou, and I don't know my case, my situation, and sometimes I'm very hesitant to share this because it's not, I don't want people to think like we can achieve certain things with that. I did not go to college here.
Okay.
I did not. So what I did instead, after I enter work at the bookstore, making $5.25, I spent a year over there, better my English, and I
Right.
transitioned and started working at the bank.
Right.
So I started at the bank at an entry level. I was a bank
Okay.
teller,
Okay.
and I spent 18 years in the bank industry. So for me, what I did, I embraced the bank, and the bank became my school. So I was a teller, I was a commercial teller, I was an international teller, I was a customer service, I was a personal banker one, personal banker two, I was a small business specialist, I was a store manager one, store manager five, all the way becoming a vice president in the banking industry. Now, let me go back to what I said earlier. There's no shortcut in this country, right? So
Right.
there's two ways you can do things. Yes, you
Right.
can go to college, do your 4 years education, pay for it, come up and enter, or you will
Right.
be in a space and spend 18, 15 years
Right.
where you grinding and build that experience and
Right.
get to the next level. As we know, one thing that's great about this nation, they value experience and the know-how more than they value your degree.
Right.
So for me, that was my approach. I spent 18 years in the bank, embrace it, make it my school. So all the way becoming a vice president, because what I tell people is once you are a manager in this country,
Right.
wherever you go with the title of manager.
Right.
Okay. So for me, that was the route that I took to get to and to build my professional career in the banking industry, which maybe it will work for some other people, but that was just my route and it ended up working out for me.
Man, I am more than highly surprised that I knew that I know I did a totally different route. I went to school and get a bachelor, and went ahead and get my master's degree. But I did not realize you could have climbed the ladder of corporate America all the way to the top without actually having. I thought that you'll have to hit some speed bumps along the way, where you have to validate a degree or go back to school to get some type of bachelor's or master's. Because I currently work in a banking environment, and obviously, just like you stated, any job that they see out there, they see either put bachelor's or master's, or they put 10 to 15 years experience. In your case, you took the experience route, which is actually more valid because that's the know-how, right? You did it. You through blood and sweat and tears and understanding. So this is more valuable than the traditional path of taking a degree. So this is pretty amazing. And I hope people are listening and taking note. This is very, very valuable information. So now let's switch over a little bit to the African Leadership Group, because today nobody can talk about the African Leadership Group without thinking about Papa Dia. So what was missing in the community that felt called you to provide and start the African Leadership Group?
Yes, thank you, Amadou. Now, as I share my journey and the African Leadership Group idea was born when I was working at the bank. And remember what I said, what I shared earlier. So I came here highly educated, but because of the language barrier and the culture barrier, all my education didn't mean much. So I found myself studying all over.
Right.
And when I was at the Wells Fargo Bank downtown, at the bank teller, there was a lot of African that was used to work at the Brown Palace Hotel, the Adams Mark Hotel, and they used to come to the bank every Friday to cash their check. And they will come and they'll wait on me and I'll help them. And I realized that most of these people did not have a bank account. And back then, if you don't have the bank account, the bank will charge you a $7 fee to cash your check. So I started educating the African immigrant to talk to them about opening their bank account, helping them establish their credit, helping some of them get their first car loan. And Brother Amadou, I couldn't help it to notice that in the mix of those people that I was helping, some of them were engineers back home. Some of them were doctors back home. But yet here they were cab drivers, they were working at McDonald's. And really it dawned to me, and I was leaving, I went through the same process. And I always told myself, if you are a smart person in Africa, wherever else you go, you are still a smart person.
Absolutely.
If you are a leader in Africa, wherever else you go, you can still be a leader.
That's correct.
But sometime in this environment, we come here because of the language barrier and the culture barrier, and we think like we are irrelevant now.
Right.
That's where the idea of the African leadership was born. To create an organization where the vision will be to facilitate the professional integration of the African diaspora through social, economic, and educational impact. Now, brother, I had to tell you and admit the fact that I had no idea about how nonprofit organization. I was just animated by an ambition because I went through the step in the bank. I went from nobody to becoming a branch manager. So I knew it was possible.
Right.
So that I start calling gathering every Saturday. And I remember vividly the first couple of friends that I talked to about the idea, they called me crazy. They called me crazy.
Right.
They told me, you are crazy. Like people from Senegal cannot come together and you're talking about bringing everybody from Africa. But for me, I knew that anything that you do in life, if you lead in with impact, if you lead in making people's life better, sooner or later, people will see the vision because it's a self-improvement for themselves. So I started the organization. I ran it for 13 years without funding. Every Saturday, I will gather the community. I'll invite a banker to do a presentation on financial literacy. I will invite a lawyer to do a presentation on immigration. I will invite a more, and it kept growing to the point that I was gathering over 1,000 people in the state of Colorado.
Wow. That's
Now, in 2016, while I was still at the bank, I got a phone call from the Walton Family Foundation, and they told me, well, for the longest time, the foundation did focus on top roots investment and hoping that it will get to grassroots. And they wanted to engage with some grassroots organization just to kind of have an idea what's happening at the grassroots level. And the African Leadership Group was identified as one of the grassroots, which I didn't know we were considered as a grassroots organization.
Okay.
And they told me that the CEO of the foundation wanted to come and spend a day with you to learn about the work you do and how you do it. And I said, yeah, it will be great. So she came, and obviously the Walton Family Foundation, which is the Walmart family, the richest family in the world, and the CEO, which is the granddaughter of Sam Walton, she came and we spent a day together. I saw her the work, share my vision, and they did a documentary. The next day they called me, Amadou, and they presented me a $250,000 check, and they wanted me to leave the bank and start doing the work of the African Leadership Group full time. So today I left the bank in 2016 and been doing this work full time. Today we have 20,000 members in the state of Colorado. We have 16 different initiatives, and it galvanized the entire, not just African, but the entire Black diaspora in the state of Colorado where we are transforming life on a daily basis.
And this is so inspiring. And the reason why I can actually relate, and I wish I had met you earlier in my life, right? Because when I came in, my story is a bit similar than yours. Because when I came in, obviously my parents couldn't afford to pay for my education, right? So I started at Pizza Hut, working at Pizza Hut, and from Pizza Hut, I become a cab driver. From a cab driver, I went and become an 18-wheeler. I drive 18-wheeler across all 48 states in the U.S. And I didn't have any guidance. I didn't have anybody to talk to. I didn't have that vision that you had. But through perseverance and belief, I was able to change my mindset and change my life around. So this is truly inspiring, and I hope that people who have not actually gotten into this stage will have the opportunity to actually watch this recording and just learn from it. So can you share one transformational story from the African leadership group that continue to fuel your mission till today? I know you have many stories, but just one story that is very, very impactful.
Yeah, so there are so many, but one thing that I am very proud of and continue to work on is our initiative that we started that's called Breaking Barriers and Building Bridges between the Black community and the African immigrant community. As you know, Amadou, we as African, and growing up from Senegal, we never had an issue of race identity. We never had to fill out a paper where we are asked to identify ourselves as our race. So where we came from, everybody looked like us, everybody sound like us. So we don't know how it feels to be a minority. That's the first thing. Now, when we came to America, the first thing that we learned is, oh, you're Black. And we struggle with the things because we don't even see ourselves as Black.
Right.
The second thing is, and I'm the first one to admit the fact that when I was in Senegal, everything that they portrayed to me about the Black community was negativity, right. Prostitution, violence, you name it, drugs. Right. So quite often we come here not wanting to have nothing to do with the Black community.
That's true.
Where we came from, it's very rare to see Black success. Everything they show us, it's pop music, you name it, right? Right. So we came here with really wanted nothing to deal with the Black community. Now, but yet to later find out that we are standing on the giant shoulders of those amazing people such as Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, you name it. Today, if we are sitting here enjoying the freedom, having the opportunity to sit here and talk to you, it's because of the great work that was done and the fight that was done from the Black community.
That's right.
But yet, we never get a chance to come together. We never got a chance to work together. Instead, we still point fingers at each other, right? The Black community will say, these African, they think they're better than us, they're smarter than us, but yet their experience and ours totally different.
Right.
As African immigrant, I don't know how to feel to be oppressed because we've never been oppressed. We've been colonized,
right,
but we've never been oppressed. As African immigrant, we've always been empowered to have access to education. Right. But as Black, they fought very hard to be able to have access to education.
Right.
So while we are all Black, but our journeys are totally different.
That is true.
The other thing, it's a real fact. We Senegalese, we assimilate. We want to dress like the Western European. We want to speak French like the French colonial. So our relationship with the white man is totally different from the relationship between the Black man and the white man in America.
That is so true.
So we see this in Senegal. When the white men come to Senegal, they like king. We see them as savior. They brought us civilization. They brought us education. They brought us Western civilization, and we embrace it, and we tend to assimilate to be like them.
Right.
While people from the Black community is still a fight. In the 21st century, they're still fighting for freedom. They're still fighting for access to education. They're still fighting for access to housing. While we are both Black, and the way we embrace the white people is totally different.
That's true.
So as you know, there's been a lot of tension between those two communities. In fact, there's always been tension. So I walk in, because after spending many years in the bank, and I was able to see that. I was able to see how a young white man will enter the bank, and in 2 years, they climb the ladder where
Right.
it took me 18 years.
Right.
So then it makes sense for us. We need to come together in order to be stronger. So that's where I built the initiative, Breaking Barriers and Building Bridges between the Black community and the African immigrant community.
Man, beautifully said. I love that.
Yeah, and today, the Black community and the African immigrant community in the state of Colorado, we do everything together to the point that we just launched what we call the Breaking Barrier Cultural Passport.
Nice.
And we print thousands and thousands of copies of this passport. And in this passport, we are profiling organizations from the Black community and the
Okay.
African immigrant community to showcase the events that are happening in the Black community and the events that are happening in the African immigrant community. So when you have this passport on your hand,
Right.
you have the information of all the organizations from both community, and you have the calendar of all the events that's happening. And each of these events, we have a booth. People show up with their passport, they present it, and we give them a stamp of arrival. And today in Colorado, every month of February, the Black History Month, this is where we bring all those organizations and we celebrate each other. So that's something that I'm extremely proud of. And every year I take a delegation of Black people to Senegal. And every August, I bring a delegation of African leaders and dignitaries to Colorado.
Man, that is beautiful. Man, I'm in lost for word. That is so beautiful. So let me ask you. Let me digress a little bit and ask you, because while you were talking, my mind was thinking about that $250,000 check that you received from the Walton Family Foundation, right? So, what was the first thing you did with that check when you received it? And I'll just combine it with, uh, I know it wasn't a small decision to give up that very secure job in the banking industry, where you work hard to climb the different ladders to becoming a regional vice president. What gave you the courage, beside that $250,000 check, to take that leap?
That's a very, very good question. And again, look, as a human being, we have a tendency to live day by day. And there's no great leader. There's nobody today, either that's a billionaire, that's a president, that doesn't live by purpose. And I think this is where we need to invest time to teach the younger generation to really take the time to understand what is their purpose. What is your purpose? Because we were created in the light of beauty. We were created in the light of achievement. We were created in the light of impact. But you always got to ask yourself why some achieve greatness while others don't. Because those that achieve it, they invest time to understand their purpose. And you name it, purpose, dream, whatever. For me, yes, the $250,000 check, when it came, yes, I doubt. I was very scared to walk away from a very secure job and a title that come with everything, insurance, you name it, to embark on a journey where I did not know how it's going to be the following year. Obviously, I had to talk with my wife, and yes, she was worried, she was scared, but I knew what was my purpose. Because the reality is, whoever we are today, if you pay attention to your past, there's always something in your past that explains who you are today and why you do what you do today. So when I reflect back in my journey, even as a 6 years old, 12 years old, I was always that kid, for some odd reason, that will always hold on to the soccer ball, that will always lead practice without knowing that I was a leader back then.
Right.
And today, knowing my purpose, if I'm not doing the African Leadership Group, I'm always gathering people to play soccer. I'm also gathering, even for you, Amadou, to do what you are doing today.
Right.
You're not doing it for money.
Right.
You're not doing it for fame, because you are shedding light on people's story. You
That's
are
right.
putting people in front of the camera. You're doing it because you understand it's part of your purpose.
That's right.
So for me today, the African Leadership Group, I started with a $250,000 check, but today we have a budget of $2.5 million. Today I have over 25 employees. I serve over 20,000 people. On a daily basis, we are impacting life, helping people get a job, helping people become leaders, helping people running for office, you name it, because I knew my purpose. So once I knew that that decision was easy, and today to the point where going back home and starting business in Senegal and doing everything we do is all part of understanding my purpose.
That is really inspiring and really deep. And I'm just gonna watch this recording myself to learn a whole lot from your from the way you approach life and from the way you see life in general, because this is very truly inspiring. So you serve on several boards in Colorado, right?
Yes.
How do you choose where and how to lend your time and expertise? Because obviously you spread pretty thin on your schedule. How do you decide, where and how to lend your time and expertise?
Yeah, Amadou, you're asking very good question. And now what I want to lead in with that question is with an observation first, and also share some other factor with people. What we have a tendency to do as African. I am from Senegal. I come to America. My friends are from Senegal. I watch Senegalese TV. I listen to Senegalese music. I speak Wolof. I eat Senegalese food. So it's like I brought Senegal to America. You're not different compared to the people that are staying in Senegal. Now, those of us that had the chance to come here, I consider us to be chosen, because there's a lot of people that dream always been to come to America. This is a great nation with all the things that people talk about. We know it offers opportunity that we would not have back home. So for me, I always tell places, it might not be the place to end with, but it is a good place to start with, the United States of America. Now, when we have the chance to come to a country like the United States of America, it's an obligation and a duty to connect with the people from this nation. You cannot develop and get to a certain level in a country if you don't connect with people from that country. You need to understand their culture. You need to understand how they do business. So for me, that professional integration is very important. That's the first thing. How do I connect with people?
Right.
I build from my community, and I lead with that power, and I embrace. So for me, yes, once I manage to gather the community and build, because I tell people in America, anybody that can gather 100 people is power. You might not know it, but it's the power. Pay attention to that. So for me now, either the governor of Colorado, the senator, the congressman, yes, they approach me and they want me to do things. And I always lead in and make that decision. What value does it add for me as a community leader? And what value does it add for my community? So for me, I know my purpose. I am the voice for my community. I am the face for my community. When I make the decision to involve into things, how does it benefit my community? How do I get resources and information from this platform and take it back to my community? As a leader, nothing is about you. And I always tell people, leadership is a journey with no final destination. None of us will ever get to the top to say, I have arrived. Right. Every day, every single person that you meet can be your teacher and can be your student. So embrace people with grace and the right attitude to learn from them.
Yeah, that leads me to that quote. Somebody says one time, the top of one mountain is the bottom of the next mountain.
That's all
So you
right.
gotta keep climbing and climbing. It
That
never
is true.
stops.
Never
Truly
stop.
inspiring. You probably heard of the Murid community in New York City. They have what we call Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba Day, right?
That is true.
Was given to them by the mayor. I don't remember the name of the mayor back in the day. In doing my research, I found out that in Colorado, the governor proclaimed August as African Immigrant Month.
Mm-hmm.
Did the African Leadership Group have something to do with that?
Well, thank you. Thank you for doing your due diligence and also asking that question. Yes. So I I couldn't help it as an African living in the state of Colorado to see that the Latino community, they have Cinco de Mayo that was proclaimed as the Latino Day. I couldn't help it to notice that the Asian community, they have the drag boat festival that was recognized as the day for the Asian community. And I look at us as African, we are employers, we are employees. Most of the critical job in the state, at the airport, at the hospital, in the healthcare, every other Uber driver is an African. We contribute to the great development of the state.
That's right.
This is where we came up with the concept of Afric Impact, where we celebrate proudly and loudly the contribution of the African diaspora in the state of Colorado. So in 2016, we launched it, the first one, Afric Impact. It was just a couple of hours in the afternoon. And today, it lasts the entire month of August. It galvanized the entire community. The governor couldn't help it. And since 2019, he proclaimed the month of August to be the African Immigrant Month in the state of Colorado. That's something that, and right now we are in the middle of getting ready. So we lead it with a cultural day. I brought in Baba Mal here 2 times to do a concert. I brought in Carlo D. I brought in Fata El Presidente. I brought in Umusi that did an amazing fashion show. I brought in Excellency Ellen Gentle Service as a keynote speaker. I brought in here the Minister Aliso, former Minister of Culture. So I always focus on creating a bridge between Colorado and Africa. So this is something that I am very, very proud of. And again, it doesn't matter where you're sitting. It doesn't matter how dark it is. But just know, through identifying your purpose, always believe that you can impact not only your life, but somebody else and a broader community. If I did it, you can, for sure.
Now, let me ask a follow-up question to that. So if someone is listening to this podcast, right, and they want to start something similar in another state, or would you recommend them to actually join forces with the African Leadership Group or to start their own version of it?
Yeah. So when I started the African Leadership Group, the vision was to make it a national and an international organization. Now, and part of the vision is obviously I have no desire to go lead an African leadership group in New York. I have no desire to go lead it in California, but I have all the desire to share the blueprint that people can do it, right? So if you are watching the broadcast and most of you probably have thought of this, the only difference is I get up and I did something. So I'll be very, very happy to share the blueprint. If you wanted to start a chapter of the African Leadership Group in another state, I will coach, I will mentor, will guide, will do everything, because that's the next step. Because a lot of people are asking me, but I cannot be in all places at once. And we got to build other leaders in other space, because look, I'm getting close to retirement, right? So I look this, we really need this younger generation to step in and fulfill this role. And with a vision. Now, the ultimate goal is to go back home and impact where everything started for us. And that's one thing I'm doing. I establish all this relationship. I know millionaire, I know billionaire, and I'm taking them to Senegal. I open an eyeglass factory in Senegal, and we are doing so. For me, leverage those relationships that you have here. Start here, build something here, but the end goal will be to take it home to impact Africa, because Africa needs its son. Africa needs every single one of us. So the goal is to start something, but the ultimate goal is to go back home and have an impact there.
Thank you for that. So now, obviously, you started a vision by trying to help just the African immigrants and the diaspora in general, right? Have you ever thought of building? I know you talk about the you have the blueprint and you're willing to share it. You cannot be in all of the places. Now, let me ask. It's going to be a two-phase question. The first question will be, how easy is it? Because we're having a hard time in Africa. Africa have 50 some countries, right? We're having a hard time coming together in Africa to unite Africa and make it one. You are able to successfully lead not only Senegalese, but African and Black people in general in a successful association for a very, very long time. What advice would you give, or how would you go about United Africa if you had the opportunity to do so?
Wow. Well, look, I obviously I'm a Pan-Africanist. I love unity. I love bringing people together. And I think what I see and what I observe from most of our leaders, before we talk about uniting Africa, we need to have leaders that can unite their own country to begin with.
That's true.
Right? That's where we start. Because most of the African country, you have tribalism, you have ethnic issue. And today, if we look at the political space for our own country, it's sad. It's extremely sad. And people have the tendency now to believe that the only way I can stay in power is to divide and conquer. Those things used to be the label of colonism, but today it's the label of our own leaders. And I think people need to go back to the basic, right? People need to go back to the basic. And if you look at from the prophet, from Sheikh Ahmad Bamba, all those great leaders that today we talk about, nothing was about them. They were not after fame. They were not after money. They were not after nothing. They were only after about impacting people. I think before we talk about bringing Africa together seriously, people need to start, the leader that we have, they need to focus on bringing the nation together. Now, it shouldn't be difficult, because if you are elected to represent a nation, so you are the president of every single person from that nation. Either they voted for you, either they don't vote for you, either they might have something, say something negative about you. For me, this is where we start. And also, our leaders, they need to understand that politics is not a career. So those are the things that we need to get rid of. You cannot make of politics your way of living.
Right.
So for me, it's going to be very difficult for any of these African presidents to go and say, let's unite Africa, and where you cannot unite your people. I think that's where we need to start. And once we do that, I think it's going to be easy. Now, I could easily set up the African leadership group to be the Senegalese leadership group.
Right.
I could easily say about, the Western African leadership group. Because when I started the organization, I did not have any relationship with Ethiopia. I do not have any relationship with Eritrea. But I know with the power of the vision, where you create something and the main goal is to impact others, not you. So people will add value into their life. Today, I'm telling you, every day people ask me to run for mayor in Orana. People ask me.
Right.
And I could win.
Right.
But it's not my job. It's not for me to do. My job is to create other people to run for office.
Right.
So it's all about knowing your purpose. As much, yes, but it's not for me. People ask me to run for city council. People ask me to run for state senator. I could, and most likely I'll win. But it's not my job. My job is to prepare other people to do that. Because if I go there, I'll be one among so many. But if I stay here, I can build so many among a few. It's all part of my purpose.
So I was going to ask a different question, but let's stop on this topic for a little bit, right? The value of purpose comes in very, very often in your conversation, right? Identifying your purpose, knowing your purpose. Obviously, you told us earlier, when you look back in time, you knew this is who you were going to be, because you were the one that was holding the ball, organizing soccers, leading people, not knowing this was your calling. What advice would you give someone like me, or someone listening to this podcast? How do you go about identifying your purpose? It is very challenging. I read this book, I don't know if you know, but there's this guy called Simon Sinek. He read this goal, he had this book called Why, identifying your purpose.
Your why.
Right, know your why. So even after reading the book, I'm still trying to figure out, what is my why? What is my purpose? Can you help us with that?
Yeah, so for me, I'll take you back to when I came to America, and everybody that I was meeting, the first question they were asking me, what is your dream? I kept hearing that question.
Right.
And I said, what these crazy people asking, what is my dream? I didn't dream about anything last night.
Right.
So, and I start hearing people, young kids, 15, 10, oh, my dream is to become an NBA player. My dream is to become a doctor. My dream. And I said, wait a minute, I better go and really have a sense about this word dream, what it means.
Right.
Because everybody talk about it.
Right.
That's when I really took the time and digest this word. And when I have a good understanding of really, when the American talk about the dream, it's not dreaming about your girlfriend, but it's the bigger aspiration that they have in life. So what I did, I took the word dreams, all the letter DREAMS, and I broke it down and make it a meaning to myself.
Right.
And I told myself, if I want to achieve anything in life, I need to, especially in this country, I need to understand this, because this is the core value and the center of everything that's happening in this country, because that's one thing that everybody talk about is the dream.
Right.
So I took the word dream and I gave every letter a meaning and something that I needed to go by every day. So I took the letter D, and for me, I made it the meaning of dedication. So everything that you are doing in life, either you want to be a soccer player or you want to be a carpenter, you have to be dedicated to that. If you ask LeBron James today, you as a young kid, you will never see him without the basketball. If you talk about Lionel Messi today, as a young kid, you will never see him without the soccer ball. That's how devoted and dedicated they were to their dream. The letter R, it's a responsibility. You have to be responsible. So it's not because you did not get something that's somebody else's fault. You cannot blame people for what you didn't have in your life. You have to take ownership and responsible. That's the letter R. The letter E is environment. You have to adapt to the environment that you are in order to achieve your dream. If you live in America, do your best to adapt to the American environment. The letter A, for me, that's the most powerful things, that affirmation. Because what you want to be in life, the more you say it to yourself, the more you see it, the more it becomes a reality. But we came from a culture that people tell you that, oh, ninyi buñu xamé fi ngay jëm do yegg. Right. So what it does to us is, even those things that we want to achieve, we don't even tell it to ourselves. Right. You got to be able to see yourself in the mirror and say, I am going to be the president of Senegal. And with a smile. Affirmation. Right. Say it. The letter M is mentorship. Anything you're trying to do in life, somebody has done it. In some cases, people have even written a book about it. seek mentorship. Myself, I have 16 different mentors that help me every single day. The letter S, it's sharing. Pay it forward. The more people you help get what they want, the more you will eventually get what you want in life. So for me, those are my nuggets of living my purpose and going on it day by day. So for me, like LeBron James will always have his basketball. For me, I will always have my community with me everywhere I go. Everywhere. That's my basketball. That's my soccer ball. That's my DNA. That's my lifeline. That's what made me to who I am today. My purpose, my community.
Man, that's beautifully said. And I will take the definition of dreams out of the dictionary and embrace yours going forward,
Oh,
because I had goosebumps listening to how you broke it down. It's powerful on many different levels. Uh, what an inspiring interview. What advice do you have for African immigrants who want to build cross-border ventures like you're doing and just give back both locally and globally?
yeah. So I will start by telling people just know migration is a human right. Just don't. Since the world has been the world, people have moved from place to places, and people will continue to move from place to places. Migration is a human right, right? Now it needs to be organized. It needs to be done by law and all these things. It's a human right. Anybody that has a chance to come to America or to go somewhere, make sure you do it legally, right? Legally. That's the first thing. Because when you travel, you gain experience. When you travel, you know new people. You know new way of doing things. Like for me, I am a better entrepreneur because I take the way that business are done in the United States, mix it that the way that business are done in Senegal, put it together. I build beautiful social enterprise organization. Just know, to begin with, migration is a human right. Traveling is a good thing to do. Now, but there are phases. People need to know how to humble themselves. In this current environment that we are in, we walk into spaces and we have the tendency to act like we know it all. When you go to a new place, your job is to listen and observe. So my first advice is if you happen to listen and ask, don't judge. Because when you go to a different place, they have the different culture, they have the different ways. So don't judge. Embrace it, listen and observe and learn. Once you do that, also seek mentors in that environment. I'll give you an example. And you are a banker, you understand this. In Senegal, we do business without budget. We don't know what a budget means. So every other person you meet in Senegal is an entrepreneur.
All right.
Everybody, the young ladies are selling water on the street. They all entrepreneurs. You ask them, what is your business plan? They don't know what it means. How much did it cost you to have one sack of water? They don't know.
Right.
So then you will never know the profit that you make, what you can afford to consume for yourself, and what you need to put back in the business. We don't know. We don't do budget.
Right.
So that's one thing that you can learn in America. Every business here starts with a business plan. Once you go to the phase of the business plan, you put a budget. Even your time that you spend in the business costs you money.
Right.
So those are the little things that you got to learn and embrace it. So migration is a human right, but when you go to any places, go in with the attitude of learning,
Right.
and not judge it.
I like that answer. Obviously, you've partnered with very major names like Uber, Waste Management, the Walton Foundation, I believe Bill Gates Foundation, if I'm not mistaken. How do you go about building those relationships? Did they come to you, or you the one that took that first step and initiated that?
Yeah, I am smiling because it's I mean, you are very good at what you do, and thank you for taking the time to do some research. Now, this is what I will tell people. This is what I will start with. There's no way you're going to be a carpenter if you don't hang out with carpenters or learn from carpenters. If you want to become a millionaire, you have to associate yourself with millionaire. Period. If you want to become a politician, you have to associate yourself with politician. If you need money to impact your community, you got to know people with money. So for me, this is something that I understood early on. And I came here and I said, well, because I've built the African Leadership Group for 13 years without funding. So I was using I was broke. And I told myself, I need to know people with money.
Right.
And I start doing my investigation and I ask myself, the people that have money, where do they go? Where do they go that I could go and meet them and have a chance to talk to them? Just ask yourself, if you're watching this, just ask yourself the question. If I want to know a millionaire today, where would I go? Well, where would I go? So in my case, I was a banker and I realized that most of the millionaire, they are on the golf course. They go and play golf. So what I did, I went to Goodwill. I bought me my set of golf club set. Okay. Never played golf in my life. And I start showing up to the golf course, just like that, and swinging and missing. And one of the gentlemen showed me struggling. And he came and he wanted to teach me. And today, he's a millionaire. He owned Davida, and he's a mentor and he's a friend. So to answer your question, you have to be, because they will not come after you. You kidding me?
Right.
But you got to come up with a strategy where you got to go to them and embrace it. In my case, I just focus on being in their mix, because once you know one, I guarantee you, you will know 10. So for me, it's more like finding a way to be in this space. Today, I know so many powerful people. I know so many rich people, and they are friends, they are mentors, they are supporting me, they are funding the work that I do, but you got to go to them first. So think about it. And when you go to them, work on your elevator speech, because you only have 10 seconds, my friend, to get their attention. Only 10 seconds. Those are things that you need to practice. When the opportunity comes, you can seize it.
Man, so many gems to pack into this interview, in this conversation. And he told you in the beginning that he has the blueprint on how to make it happen. And I'm hoping you guys are hearing how he's laying out the blueprint one by one by one. So yes, let me switch over to the current climate, right? So obviously, this podcast is not a political podcast at all, right? But we've seen a lot of changes in U.S. immigration policy lately, right? Has that affected the work that you're currently doing at the African Leadership Group?
Yeah, so I'm the type of person that I don't see negativity. I only see opportunity in every single situation that arises. It's just me. It's just me. So yes, it's all those. Yes, it slow down funding, but it present other opportunities. So when you are in the position of leadership, you got to understand what is your responsibility. Your responsibility is to position your community to have access to all the resources, to also be positioned to defend their right. So what we've done, and especially in this climate, we serve over 1,600 new migrants. So we provide English classes to them. We provide computer classes. We help them with their asylum cases. They have their work permit, and they are going through the due process. Obviously, ICE know who I am. They know who we are. They know where we live. and yes, there was a lot of fear. They did operate few ICE raids, and people in our community was arrested. And I activated the congressman, the senator, to make sure that they go to the due process and defend their rights. So the current environment that we are in is not only just in the United States. What we are seeing now, the entire world, we are in crisis of leadership, period. Period. So what it means now, wherever you go, they need new leaders. It could be you. It could be me. So as bad it is, I see it as an opportunity. If we have in the United States the president that's almost 80 years old, the last president we had, I mean, it's, are you telling me that in this nation, we don't have kids that are 45, 35, 50 that can rise up to be the leader that the country needs? Because we just limit ourselves as a nation. Because we look somebody like Papa or we look somebody like you, and we think like, no, you can't do it.
Right.
Let me tell you, my friend, you can. It's got to start with you to embrace that journey. So the world, not just the United States, Senegal, where they need you. Embrace that leadership journey. Embrace who you are and who you can be, and leading with no apology. No apology. So we are in the phase of transition of leadership. If you see everywhere in Africa, those former presidents, people are tired of it. People are seeking for new leaders. Right. So it's the same thing in this nation. What's happening is it's horrible. Horrible. But it's positioning us and preparing us for better days to come. So just resiliency is important, right? But don't try to do it alone. Build your community. And when I say your community, you cannot just rely on African. Have allies. It's very important. So for me, I work with the Jewish community, I work with the Black community, I work with the Latino community. So today I am powerful because I build coalition of allies. So if there's an issue that I'm fighting, I'm not fighting it alone. I have all those people on my side. And when I speak up, people pay attention.
So, Papa, have you thought about writing a book, or have you already written a book? Because it would be so unfortunate if we don't pack all of this experience, all of this knowledge into not one, but many series of books. Have you thought of that?
Personally, no. Personally, no. And but I get asked that question often. And I always tell people, it's not for me to write my own book, right? It's for me, like I said, I'm living my purpose. I'm staying in my lane. I'm not a writer.
Right.
It's not for me to do that. But if people find something appealing and they want to take on this project, I'm very open on it. But yeah, I am built to do one thing, and I'm focusing on doing that thing, and I'm doing it with, as you can see, I love what I do.
Right.
I love every single minute of my life. It's truly a blessing, brother, and I'm getting very emotional here. But you know, I know where I came from. Nothing, literally nothing, and to be in the position I am today, to be in this broadcast, I never thought in my entire life that people will be interested to who I am, even to take the time to even ask questions.
Right.
And to live it today, it's God. It's God. And I know that. And I'm committed to serve. I'm committed to live by purpose. And I'm doing it with all the joy and having the best time of my life. And I'm extremely grateful for you even considering to have me on your broadcast. Even people that are listening to this broadcast and taking your time to listen to it, I'm grateful. If it helped one person, it's amazing. And,
Right.
and just everybody know I'm here to serve. I'm a phone call away. Anything I can do to help, I'm here, and that's my mission, to serve.
Man, I can definitely attest to it. You are a true servant leader. People claim always that they are servant leaders, but by listening to you, we can truly see that you are a servant leader and somebody who's here for their community. we like to keep the interview to 1 hour. Obviously, I have many more questions. I may have to pop up to you in Colorado one of these days just to have a one-on-one and just hang out with you, because there's a whole lot more information that I wanted to actually intake. But we like to keep this interview in packed into 1 hour. So
Sure, sure.
outside of work, what do you do to stay centered, to keep your mental and emotional intact? Because I know you guys, obviously doing my homework, there you led some mental health days and mental workshops. What do you do personally to keep yourself centered?
Yeah. Look, I am somebody that struggled for the longest time to understand self-care. When people were telling me about self-care, I said, like, I'm doing what I love doing. Are you talking to me about self-care? But let me tell you, it's a real thing. I get to point sometime that things are blurry, uh, things are challenging, and the self-care is a real thing. You got to know when to unplug, how to unplug. In my case, my center is my family. I have three beautiful daughters. Going home and being with them is just, and I know that every day at 8 p.m. I unplug. I unplug everything. So that's one thing that I do. Now I love soccer. I go play once in a while. I run. I like to run, so I do that. And I have some dear friend, right? Some dear friend that I spend time, quality of time. And when we are together, it's not about work. And one of them is Max, a dear friend of Makoto Job. When we are together, we just get to be silly, right? We get to be silly. So for me, those are the things that I do to help me center. I have 8 brothers, and we spend time together. My mom is still around, and
Right,
just doing things for her also keep me centered, and and
right,
and all the thing. It's just a family, but yeah, but we gotta take care of self. We gotta take care of self. And I'm also at the phase in my life that all the things that I dream of for me that I
right,
never thought that I'll be doing. So, like, for example, I just got my birthday was July 13, and I always wanted to go on a cruise ship. I've never done it before, but I
right,
was able to do that,
right. Beautiful.
which was great. And one of the things that I have on my bucket list was to go watch the English Premier League,
Right.
right? So that's the thing. So for me, there's little things you can do here and there to make it happen will be great.
All right. What Korean project do you have in Senegal right now?
Yes, in Senegal, we obviously the eyeglass established and doing very well. We took a cybersecurity project where I have investors that invest 50 million US dollars to build a cybersecurity center to provide cybersecurity to hospital, government entity. We are working on that. We also have an integrated farming project that I took the Denver Botanic Garden, and we wanted to build an integrated farming in Chess. We are currently working with ENSA University to establish a botanic garden at the university. It's another project that I am working on. Also, a few real estate project so that we are working on. And again, my goal is to just identify the need in Senegal, which is
All right.
employment is one of them, and just take people to create those things. So that's the thing that I am currently working on.
Good, good. So I think we're gonna have to bring you on a second episode, because I have some. Soon as you touch cybersecurity, I had goosebumps, because I mentioned that I work in the banking industry, but I'm not a finance guy. I'm actually a cybersecurity analyst, right? So I'm an IT guy who has worked in different areas of cloud. Now I'm the cybersecurity analyst at the one of the major bank here. So that project hold me dear to heart. So we'll have to have a phase 2, or
Would love
like I
to.
said, I will have to come to Colorado to have to expand
Would
on that.
love, would love, would love to have you. I'll send you details for our African Impact. Would love to have you here at the gala, which is on August
Right,
16. I'll
right,
send you the detail. If your schedule allows you, would love to have you so you can get to see the community and the work we do. But again, I'm just a phone call away. I'll be happy to come and visit anywhere you need me, anytime,
right,
because we are in this together. And I appreciate the work that you do, because it's not about you. It's about sharing people's story and hoping that other people can learn from it and do something with their life.
Absolutely. So one of the last question: if you could sit down with your 20-year-old self, what advice would you give him?
So the advice that I'll have for the young papa would be believe in yourself. It took me longer. It took me longer. And I will tell him you are made for greatness, right? Because until now, I even struggle to believe that I turn out to be who I am, right? It's one of those times you're pinching yourself. But,
Right.
you know, imagine if I had this belief early on. So that's the only advice that I'll have, just for you to tell them wherever you start, that's not where you're going to end up with. Okay. Wherever you're starting is preparing you for something great. So if you're watching this, you might be sitting in a time where you see darkness. It doesn't define you at all.
Thank you. Thank you for the advice. Papa, thank you so much for being here with us today and sharing not just your story, but your heart. Your journey is a proof that true leadership isn't about title. It's not about power. It's about creating space, lifting up, reaching out, impacting people. So please check out Papa Dia and the African Leadership Group. Go to ASL USALG. What was that
Yeah,
again?
yeah. It's a usalg.org. usalg.org. Yeah.
USALG.org. So check him out. He have various events that they're holding in Colorado. Follow him everywhere on LinkedIn. If I was me, I'm starting to follow him everywhere. So because he's truly inspiring, I want to know his every move, every step. Because when we have the opportunity to meet people like him, we have to make sure that we make the best of that interaction and just learn from it. Thank you again, Papa, for allowing us to interview you. Thank you for your time. You could have been anywhere, but you chose to spend this 1 hour with us. So one last word for our listeners, and we'll let you get back to your normal life.
Thank you all. It's truly an honor. And I hope those of you that are watching, you will take something and you will be the next guest on this amazing show so we can learn. So I look forward to learning from you as well. Remember, every single person that you meet in life can be your teacher in one way, but also can be your student in one way. Share with grace.
Thank you. Keep learning, keep watching, keep building. This is the Opportunity Room. This was your host, Amadou Kholle. Until next time, later.
Thank you. Thank you so much.